All right, rock and roll. Welcome to the Sunday, February 9th edition of Scorched Earth Podcast. I'm your host, John. And, man, the Super Bowl is here. You know, it's the best of times and it's the worst of times. You know, we get so pumped up for the game, and then we realize we got to go 6 months without it. You know, it's detox. And, man, I love football. You know, I love the games. I like the fact that they're on. I don't necessarily watch them. You know, sometimes they're just in the background. Sometimes I go over to my parents' house, watch it with them. You know, it's kind of a joint family experience. But, man, when they're gone, it's like, oh, geez. And I like all sports. I like golf. I like tennis. I like basketball, college basketball. You know, March Madness is coming up, thank goodness. Something to alleviate my fix. And, you know, I'm just looking forward to it. Honestly, I kind of want to see Patrick Mahomes get that third Super Bowl in a row, but I just, you know, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's a good game. You know, I'm sure it will be. The hype, typically the game doesn't live up to the hype, but I will say this, the one nice thing about Kansas City is it seems like every game comes down to a last-second field goal. That, they win. If you could, please hit the subscribe and like button and leave your comments. I will respond to them. This is a podcast for the people, by the people, right? So, tell me who you think is going to win the game. You know, before. Don't tell me after. I don't want to hear it then. All right. This is going to probably be a little abbreviated podcast for Sunday because, you know, I'm going to tell you something. I went to go see the Led Zeppelin documentary. And I'm a huge Led Zeppelin fan. Grew up, kind of was into hard rock, heavy metal. And Led Zeppelin is the equivalent of the Beatles. I mean, they're that good. Guns N' Roses came along. We thought they were going to be the heir apparent. You know, different personality, drugs, alcohol, different substance abuse issues, you know, derailed them from achieving that level of greatness. But most people have probably seen The Song Remains the Same about a series of concerts at Madison Square Garden that Zeppelin did in the mid-'70s. And it was pretty good. But, man, I've been looking forward to this Zeppelin thing. I mean, this is really the holy grail. And I went there, and the IMAX didn't work. It's only in IMAX. Now you wonder, why is it only in IMAX? That's the reason. It's the same movie as in standard definition. They just get to charge you double. So instead of paying $10 or $12 a ticket, you get to pay $26 or $28. Yeah. And they wonder why the movies are dying. You know, and the thing is, I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm going to go see it before the Super Bowl, and mark my words, and this is what gets disconcerting is, I guess it really doesn't matter, but it does annoy me, is literally in a week, it'll be on streaming platform. It'll be on Peacock or Hulu or Netflix or, you know, it's like, wow, why didn't I just wait? But I told you before, I really love the movies. I love that whole experience, and, you know, I can't wait. I just can't wait for some rock and roll. I really wish Led Zeppelin would come back. You know, they've had offers from Virgin Atlantic, Richard Branson, for anywhere between $200 and $400 million to do a couple concerts, and like 2 or 3, and they still turn it down. And I think that is because there is a rift between Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. And I remember back in the late 80s, Cream magazine. Yeah. That's what a terrible youth I had. I was reading Cream magazine, the heavy metal guide. And Jimmy Page was doing a project with David Coverdale, the lead singer of Whitesnake. And he made a comment in the magazine of, wow, it's nice to finally have a real lead singer. I got a funny feeling Robert Plant read that, and he probably didn't let go of that. Yeah. That's why he's out there on the road with Alison Krauss, you know? I don't need Jimmy Page. I'll just hang here. Don't worry, Jimmy. You don't need that $200 million. All right. We have some news Saturday. And I would like to tell the Democrats, please, I know you're not going to do it, run the Super Bowl ad showing the violence on January 6th and then Trump writing the commutation and the pardoning of the 1,500 plus January 6th rioters who harmed and injured over 174 police officers. Let's keep beating that into the consciousness. Let's not forget it. The goal is to win the House and the Senate in 2026. Neuter to this president, neuter to this thong-wearing president, and get back on the road. Get going again. We'll see. The problem is, I think the Democrats have, is there's so many issues to pick from. There's so many things. They got to stay focused on. To me, this is just the ultimate law and order thing. I mean, you know, how can any Republican say that they're the party of law and order if you keep running that ad? I mean, they should be running that ad every week on Fox. Eventually, it's going to seep through those thick skulls, you know? And you can't make them change their mind unless you show them the evidence. You got to, like they say, like the kids say on the street, show them the receipts. Really don't even know what that means. Well, I do, but yeah, it's me trying to be hip, okay? I'm trying to relate to a new audience. It's the podcasting world, okay? This isn't NBC. This isn't legacy media. All right. Yesterday, 3 Israeli hostages were exchanged in the 5th round of exchanges between Hamas and Israel. The Hamas got back 174 people, and the Israeli prisoners, what happens is, and it's really kind of surreal, is they bring them up in vans and they parade them through this little area so Arab media can see. Then they go to a stage where the Red Cross is there, and then they walk them on the other side of the stage and they hand them over to the Israelis. Now, the Israelis, these 3 soldiers, were very gaunt, very pale. What do you think is going to happen if you live in a tunnel for a year and a half? I mean, didn't anybody see Shawshank Redemption? You remember what happened when Andy Dufresne went in the hole? Man, he couldn't even see straight for a week. So that happens, and the Israelis are incredibly outraged. Their UN ambassador, Donnie Dannon, and I got to be honest, Donnie Dannon, you really got to come up with a different name. Maybe Don Dannon? I don't know. Sounds like yogurt. I'm not too sure about that. He sent a letter to the UN General Secretary, Antonio Guterres, and he publicly condemned Hamas for allowing the dire physical condition of the 3 Israeli hostages. Now, in the videos, if you didn't see them, the Palestinians who were held in Israeli jails looked just as gaunt, just as emaciated as the Israeli ones did. I understand they're annoyed about their people, but what did Israel think was going to happen when you restricted all the food aid and the water going to the Gaza Strip for 18 months? Did you somehow think they were going to FedEx packages in just for the hostages? Oh, by the way, don't put a beacon in the package so you know where they are. We got food for them. Don't worry. We got peanuts, and we got some Chick-fil-A on the way from Europe, and, blah, blah, blah. Jesus Christ. You laid siege to the entire area for 18 months. What do you think's going to happen? Hey, let me think. I am a Hamas soldier, and I got my one little meal ration for the day. Let me give it to one of the Israeli soldiers. Yeah, that's how it works. And Israel, what were they thinking? They weren't feeding the Palestinian prisoners. Oh, no, don't worry. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll commit suicide in jail, kind of like Jeffrey Epstein, Hey, as a side note, Trump announced he was going to release all the files on JFK and MLK and I don't know K. But how about Jeffrey Epstein, his little buddy down there on Porno Island with the underage girls? Yeah. Wonder why we haven't got anything on that, because, hey, I'm really believing that was a suicide. Yeah. All right. Saturday, federal judge blocked Elon Musk Doge access to critical treasury payment systems. And this has obviously been building. We talked about the story yesterday. Letitia James and 18 other attorney generals from states filed lawsuit about these people who had no clearance, who had no authorization by Congress, that they had access to critical treasury payment systems. Now, I know that in the land of Trump, of a million fires, we're trying not, it's like, well, what's the big deal about this, John? Well, listen to what the access they had, what systems they controlled. Let me repeat this in English for you. Let's hear about the systems that they had access to and what those systems did. Okay? I'll get it right eventually. It may have to be a 2-hour podcast for me to get out 6 coherent words, but I'm going to keep trying. The system distributes tax returns for all U.S. taxpayers, Social Security benefits, disability payments, and federal employee salaries. Well, I'm glad they took a narrow scope. Like, really? Like, what's that about? Really? I mean, what is left? It's funny, though. I don't see any of them going into the Defense Department. I saw something on TV yesterday, and it just effing pisses me off to no end, okay? I was talking to super producer Stacy yesterday about, the U.S. medical system and how come we just don't have universal health care. And I was watching college basketball because I couldn't go to the movie. And Dick Vitale is a legendary commentator for ESPN. Seems like a really good guy. I'm not sure I believe all the public persona. I mean, remember for 10 years how Tiger Woods was a saint? And then we find out, just because he was the greatest golfer ever, that he was actually an abhorrent human being behind the scenes, but everybody wanted access to him so they could get, the interviews for golf. So they said he was a great guy. Oh, he gives money to kids, whatever. Yeah, because he's sleeping with their moms. So Dick Vitale was on there, and he's had he seems like a good guy. And he has had a battle with cancer for, I believe, 18 months. And he returned to college basketball yesterday with Duke at Clemson. And the crowd was just incredibly generous. They call him Dickie V. And he was emotional and he was happy. And then he made a comment. He said, there's nothing worse than dealing with cancer and going through radiation and going through chemotherapy. And there's some truth there. My mom went through the same thing, and she somehow came out the other side, thankfully. But I was thinking, and then he went straight into the give to the Jimmy V Fund, give to this GoFundMe, blah blah blah. Which he's being cool. I'm not denigrating that, but I thought to myself, what's worse than that, Dickie V, is the people out there who get effing cancer and they don't have insurance and they don't have money and they don't get access to medical facilities because they don't have any effing money. And you wonder how many people on the streets, homeless people, people with mental disorders, are out there dying because they can't get access to the medical system. We talked about this the other day about Canada. All these Canadians hate their government, blah, blah, blah. We want to become the 51st state. Hey, you know what? Wait till you find out what that, what is this? What's the saying? Screw around and find out. Yeah. Come on in and then find out you don't get health care. That's going to be an eye opener. Find out what that's all about. Let's see if Timmy Horton pays for your health care. Yeah, right. Good luck, right? So the judge, this is actually a pretty good judge, it seems like. He said that his name is Paul Ennemeyer, and he cited irreparable harm if they didn't stop immediately accessing these critical Treasury Department systems. And he also ordered the destruction of any download info from the payment system by anybody who's accessed it since January 20th. I'm not believing for a second that's going to go down. Personally, I think there should be criminal prosecutions here. The problem is Trump controls the DOJ, so who's going to prosecute him? One hand washes the other. The hearing will be February 14th. Well, that's going to be a lovely Valentine's Day. And this came in response to like I said, Letitia James from New York lawsuit that was launched on Friday, along with 18 other state generals. The White House, in response on Saturday, said it was a judicial overreach. All I can say is thank God for the courts. Thank God we have a checks and balances, because if we didn't, we have a tyranny. I mean, all the Republicans sit there and say, "Well, no, you got Trump derangement syndrome and blah blah blah." You know what? If they can do what they want unfettered, what is the difference between them and a king? What's the difference between them and a Rajan over there in Turkey, or Putin in Russia, or Xi in China? They do what they want. There's no consequences. At the end of the day, we'll see if the Trump administration adheres to what they're told by the courts, by the district court. I am looking for, really, why don't we just expedite it to the Supreme Court? Why are we even effing around? Let's just get to it, because if they're going to shock our world like they have continuously, let's just get to the mass suicide. Let's just get to the hemlock. And maybe that's what the Republicans want, is the Democrats to all kill themselves so they can run around unfettered until they start feeding on themselves. And we're starting to see that with the immigration, where they're actually deporting Trump supporters. It wasn't me. Not me. Nothing to see here, amigo. Yeah, well, sorry. Even though you voted for Trump, you only have a green card. Sorry. And finally, my personal pick for the 2028 nomination from the Democratic Party for president, Gavin Newsom. Love this guy. He's good. He's good. If you ever have seen him go on Fox News, Pete Buttigieg is real good too. He just takes their arrows and he just shoves them up their butt. It's just beautiful on beautiful. Guy's smart. The guy's sharp. He's really the anti-Trump. Instead of rambling and incoherent, he is sharp and concise. And the Democrats have a lot of really interesting picks coming up in 2028. We got Shapiro. We got Christian Whitmer. Amy Klobuchar, I've been hearing her name quite a bit. We're you know what it is? We're in a life raft in the middle of the ocean, and there's a leak, and we feel like we're all going to die. We're just wondering how bad the leak is, and we're trying to go, hey, look at that sunset over there. We're trying to get our mind off the apocalypse that's coming, that, hey, there's sharks here, and the raft is going to fall into the ocean. Yeah, it's running out of air, kind of like I do on some nights. So Friday, Gavin Newsom signed bills after passed by the California legislature, allocating $50 million for legal funds to fight for California type of initiatives and issues that Washington may take umbrage with. Let's call it like that. Abortion rights, climate change, water policy are some of the many issues. But I was watching, and he signed it when he came back from Washington, because he went to Washington because at the end of the day, you got to go over there and stroke Trump's ego. And we're going to see what happens there, trying to get federal funds for the fire-ravaged areas of Los Angeles. And I wonder where we're going to come out on this. I have a real funny feeling that they're going to... The only thing that makes me optimistic that we're going to get the money is because Trump actually did pretty well in the popular vote in California. And that makes them think that maybe one day they can flip California. Now, I don't think so. I think what you're going to see in 4 years is the Democrat, whoever that nominee is going to be, is just going to run away with it. It's going to be like Carl Lewis and me running 100-meter. And he's like, whoop, you know, Speedy Gonzalez, and John's over here like, oh, the coyote. Oh, no. Oh, no. Am I done? No, John, you're not even 5 yards down the road. You know? Hey, it's old John. This is cool, John. All right. Super Bowl. I hope your team wins. I hope me and my mom win some props. I hope super producer Stacy wins her props. And I hope you all enjoy your game. Don't drink and drive, please. Hit the subscribe and like button. Leave your comments. I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow.